Greetings and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm your host, Dr. G, and I am so glad that you could keep our appointment. Well, I am super duper extraterrestrially excited about tonight's show. That's because tonight's guest has such a unique experience, something that many of us wonder about and want to know if it's real and so forth. And tonight we have Rafael Lugo, also known as Skitz The P.L.K, Prophet Lucid King. He's a Bronx-born hip-hop artist whose journey transcends music. He blends his extraterrestrial experiences with high vibrational, multi-dimensional hip-hop. Featured in the documentary Calling All Hybrids, which is available on Amazon Prime, Rafael explores cosmic connections with grays, hybrid children, and more. Aren't you getting excited? I am. He's also the host of the Hybrid podcast, which will be relaunching soon. He shares his mission to inspire, educate, and unite through music and storytelling. I am so excited to have this brother on the show tonight because he's become like a nephew already, like another son. And along with my co-host, Cynthia Martin, tonight we hope to reignite the conversation about whether or not we are alone. We don't think so. With that, I'd like to welcome to the podcast none other than Rafael Lugo, Skitz The P.L.K, the Prophet Lucid King. Well, welcome. Forgot to tell you, when the music is still playing, we got to rock a little bit. Erica.
I was already rocking to it. I was about to say. I was
Listen, y'all, listen. Those of you who are on already, share this. You're not gonna want to miss this because we have been hearing. We watch things on TikTok and Instagram and the UFO History Channel or whatever they call it, and Gaia and everybody else. Even on shows that talk about folks who've had near-death experiences, which is a matter of fact where I first heard of tonight's guest, Rafael Skitz The P.L.K. Lugo. And when I tell you, Rafael, first of all, welcome. But y'all share, please, share. Get somebody else on here. Y'all know how we do it. And you're going to want to know, you're going to want to hear about our brother's experience. And you're going to want, if you have not experienced his music, you're going to want to do that too. You're going to get like me. And I like that's, I told him, that's all I've been listening to lately, because it's something about having some music that's positive and enlightening and also, cosmic at the same time. Cosmic at the same time. And Cynthia, my co-host, y'all know Cynthia. She's the chairman of the board of the House of Reawakening Minds, but Cynthia is I don't know whether she's a experiencer, contactee, whatever.
Both.
She's one of those. She's one of them. And me, we're gonna talk about me because I've had some missing time things. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah, we did talk about that. It's super interesting.
Okay. With that, listen, I just want to get started, and I want to go to your history as an experiencer or a contactee. Now they have different levels of connection. They call connection, what, the first kind, the second kind, the third,
the fourth, the fifth.
The fifth. What would you call yourself? All of them?
Well, yeah, for sure. When you get to CE5, right, which is contacts of the fifth kind, that's when you get to the point where you're contacting them to come in and say hello to you. So all the levels before that would be, I think fourth would be being on board ship, being taken from them. Third would be seeing a ship or physically having like some sort of interaction. Second would just be I guess landing or something like that. There's super levels, but yeah, I've seen it pretty much all up the list and back.
So let's take us back to we were 5 years old.
Yeah.
Or so.
All right. So, no, 100%. So for those that don't know, I got a documentary out on Amazon Prime, and it's called Calling All Hybrids. Now, that documentary was made because I am what they call a lifetime contactee, right? I've had experiences with what some would call interdimensional extraterrestrial beings, multiple races, but it all started with what I would refer to as the Greys. I just remember ever since I was a kid, very primal, super, just knew in the back of my head that I had to do something when I fell asleep. Like, I didn't know what. I just always was scared of the dark, and I always knew that I needed some sort of protection mechanism for whatever reason. So whenever I would go to sleep at night, if I felt like the urge in the middle of the night to open my eyes because something was staring at me, I would try to like wiggle my toes to see if they would move. And I would know that if they didn't move, that I would be under some sort of control or under some sort of paralysis. And then if I was able to move them, then maybe I could run away or swing at whatever was there. I never knew who gave me this technique or how I developed it. But I just remember one day, I was 5 years old, around that age, 5 or 6. And as embarrassing as this is to admit, but I always admit it just in hopes that it might help others. I think I slept in my mother's room in a twin size mattress with her till I was about 13, 14 years old, just out of pure fear of being alone and being taken. I didn't know what was happening to me, and my family didn't really have the knowledge to be able to help me in that sense of like being super understanding and really kind of guiding me through these experiences. So I just remember one day I went to go wiggle my toes and I couldn't. So when I opened my eyes, I just knew that I was going to see something that was going to startle me in some way. And sure enough, I opened my eyes, and what I saw at the foot of my bed would be what some would consider to be the classic figure or shape of what people call a gray. Big bulbous head, big dark almond eyes, small slit where the nose should be, two kind of holes where the nostrils are, small slit for the mouth. You can kind of see lips, but they're really thin and defined, two holes where the ear should be, very thin neck, almost like the head was too big for the neck to support it. And then the body was, normal size body, maybe about 3.5, 4 feet tall, if I were to be like estimated. And it had on like some sort of, I don't know, some sort of skin tight suit on, or like a websuit, like when you go underwater. And then as I'm noticing this being, I kind of get startled and I realized I can't move. I shift my eyes to like the front door, and there was another one standing at the door, kind of like a half frame. Half of the body was in, half of the body was in the hallway. And then I saw another gray standing behind that one. So there was 3 altogether. And as I'm noticing, I'm panicking. I'm trying to scream for my mother, but I can't. So it sounds like, please. And as I'm doing that, I hear in my head, in my own voice, by the way, I hear, "You have nothing to fear," or "There's nothing to be scared of. We're not here to hurt you." Kind of something to that nature, kind of very comforting in my own voice. And then it started, the one at the foot of my bed started kind of moving towards me in between my twin size mattress and my mother and father's queen size. And the one thing I could remember, it always sticks out to me. it didn't walk towards me. It didn't have like a range of motion, like when somebody was walking towards you could physically see the stride. It was more like a floating type deal. It floated towards me. The best way to explain it is if you watch those Spike Lee movies, there's always that classic scene where the main character like gets aware of something and it starts kind of like moving and everything is moving past them or her. And it was like that. It was like moving towards me without any range of motion. And it came close enough to where it wanted to almost rub noses with me. This whole time, I'm getting this intense stare in my eyes. The one thing I did notice that a lot of people don't talk about is I was able to notice the closer that this gray got to me, there was some sort of movement behind the blackness of his eyes, almost like the eye had like a protective filament over it or like a contact lens. And behind that darkness kind of tinted contact lens was this movement of an eyeball. And I just remember kind of looking at that through the darkness, and then I kind of pass out, wake up, and it's morning again. I remember telling my mom what happened. She recalled hearing me kind of screaming out for her, but not really wondering why she didn't get up. And I was raised super religious. So my family was raised Jehovah's Witness. So whenever I would mention anything of the sort, it was either demonic or a bad dream. So I spent a majority of my early years during these experiences kind of thinking I was chased by demons and, you know, not having no control over my body at times. So it was very, I don't know, just very riddled with PTSD a lot of my childhood. And throughout these experiences, I would notice that these kind of abilities kind of came with it. Like I was able to sense the mood in the room. I don't know if you have ever walked into a room after people are fighting and they're trying to cover it up from you. You open the door and they're all happy and you walk in and you just sense something's off. That feeling times 10 is how I feel normal rooms. And then I'm starting to get this kind of realization that since these beings contact purely telepathic, there must have been some sort of, I wouldn't say tampering, but maybe awakening in some parts of my mind just to be able to communicate with these beings. And that's kind of a thing I brought back with me outside of the contact experience. So when you tie the ability to be able to sense vibrations and energy, emotions, be highly empathic. Electricity acts kind of weird around me depending on my emotional state. I've been known to blow out light bulbs if I get too angry. If I focus really hard on a street light, I could turn it off. Like things like that. And I noticed that throughout my research and talking to other experiencers that was kind of common practice with us experiencers. These are kind of like telltale signs that we have had contact with beings that communicate on different levels. Long story short, I'm going through my early adult life. I'm 41 right now, so I'm talking my early 20s and mid 20s. I start watching these alien documentaries and I start like really gravitating towards, you know, what are people saying online about people like me and yada, 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 stuff like that. And I come across this documentary, and this one particular documentary, it just rang true to my soul. I just remember crying at the end of it, almost like they peered into my life and was like, oh, whoa, like they're talking about what I am experiencing. They're talking about exactly what I'm going through. So I get the urge. Remember, to this point, my whole life, I thought I was crazy. I must be delusional and having demonic experiences. I should be calling a church and not a psychiatrist. But something inside of me goes, at least call the psychiatrist that's in this documentary and just find out if you're crazy. So, of course, I'm all cocky. I get the number, Google the name, call the psychiatrist, and I'm strictly thinking that when I call this number, I'm getting an answering machine. I'm never going to get called back. They're going to direct me to an email. Sure enough, 2 rings, and the psychiatrist picks up. I get a little flustered, I guess, because of the documentary. This particular person has dealt with this kind of phone call a lot. So he just kind of told me to take a couple of deep breaths in and just start from the beginning. And I just gave him everything I remember to that point, everything I experienced. And he relayed to me that a lot of the things I was able to express to him were so on point and on the money with what he's researched that you can't find on YouTube, you can't find in books. It was just certain things that I was able to say that kind of gave him the indication that I was a real experiencer and not somebody that could potentially have mental health issues, which, by the way, is something that is very rampant in the space. So it was very gratifying to know that he kind of felt to that point that I had some validation to me and what I was saying, like some kind of validity in the words that I was giving him. And sure enough, he passes me off to this lady called Miss Denise Stoner, and she writes books on the subject, has interviewed multiple experiencers, and she heard my story from him and pretty much called me immediately. I repeat the process and telling her the story. Within a week, she's in my home. And at this point, I'm like, okay, what are you going to sell me now, right? I'm the alien guy. They come to your house. We're going to get rid of these aliens for a fee of $2,000. That's what I'm assuming, right? I'm from the Bronx. I'm automatically thinking they're going to get me, right? So I'm just waiting. I'm going into it with an open mind, but I kind of like, they just going to tell me whatever. But they were super thorough. It was Miss Denise Stoner and the head MUFON director for Florida at the time. I was living in Orlando. Her name was Miss Terry Lynch. They both came over my house and did a thorough investigation, asked me a lot of questions. And at some point within the investigation, she asked me a question about, has this happened in my family before? Has anybody ever told me? And I told her about a story that my mother told me. Now, I come from New York. I'm what they call New Yorican, but my family is Boricua, right? We come from the island of Puerto Rico. So my mom was raised in Puerto Rico, and she said when she was a child, maybe age 10 or 11, she was playing with my uncles in a field somewhere, and she saw this disc that looked like a top dancing for her in the sky. And she said it was doing a little dance for her, it was moving around. Then all of a sudden, she says she passes out, and when she wakes up, she's coming down from this light, and she lands on the ground, and she's spinning around like a top. Then my uncles came and was like, where have you been? After she was laying there for a couple of minutes, where have you been? We couldn't go back home. It's been like 3 hours. We couldn't go back home without you. So there was that missing time. And I told that to Miss Denise Stoner when she was doing the investigation, and it's like she turned completely pale. She immediately goes into her records and she looks through her notes and she pulls out a story that was almost identical to what I just expressed to her. There was no way for me to figure out. I mean, down to the location in Puerto Rico, down to the way the lady came down from her light and was spinning. So it was like one of those aha moments for me as well that let me believe that, oh, wait a minute, there's something here. This has happened to other people and it's been validated right here in front of me. So she finally, I used to hide knives. I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm saying this just in case there's other people around that might have this, issue. I'm just putting it out there. I used to hide knives all around my house because I used to go, if these aliens are going to come and take me, if I'm in the bathroom, I know where that knife's at. If I'm in the living room, I got a knife hidden here. So once again, my Bronx mentality, right? My New York old school mentality. And I remember saying this to her, and she kind of like just chuckles, and she goes, these beings are not going to even they're going to know you're going to reach for it the minute you think about it. That's number one. But she goes, instead of hiding the knives, you're going to hurt somebody. Hide little flashlights, because they hate the light in their eyes. They hate it when the lights are flashed in their eyes. And it was like the very first time that a person didn't tell me I was crazy. It was the very first time that a person didn't laugh at me. It was the very first time that a person didn't and gave me a solution to an issue. So not only did she believe that this was happening to me, but she gave me a solution. And from there, I was kind of like just completely addicted to wanting to know more about the information. Now, throughout this whole time, I'm raised in the Bronx. I'm in love with hip hop. I'm infatuated with like expressing myself through the rawness of music and all that. And like everybody that starts, you know, in any career, they mimic a little bit the people that they want to be like. So at the time that I was coming up and the environment I was in, it was just all just talking about guns and who's the baddest and who drugs and money. And I ended up becoming really good at doing that style of music. Now, granted, I want to preface this by saying I don't knock anybody that makes that kind of music. I do believe that there is some sort of reason why that music is out there. Sometimes it's to teach others about the circumstances that they shouldn't be in. Sometimes it's just pure therapy for the person that's doing the art to release the negativity on something creative. So I'm not knocking anybody that makes this kind of music, but I was making it for the wrong reasons, right? My reasons was just to get money, just for popularity, just to get on. I just, whatever. If I could write 10,000 songs that'll murder 20,000 kids, in my mind, I don't know what's happening. So whatever, I'm just making music and providing for my family. Throughout my whole process of having that mentality and going through my extraterrestrial experiences, I find meditation. And I noticed throughout the balance of meditation and making negative music and meditation is almost like the stillness of my mind was starting to give me a little bit of awareness of where the path was going, but I still didn't kind of see it. So I just remember I was really into meditation at this time, and which reminds me I should be getting back into it right now. I kind of lost my way, so I should be getting back into meditation. But at the time that this awakening happened for me, I was really into meditation, like doing it every day, consistently and religiously, especially before I did any kind of music. And I go into record, and right before I record, I just kind of light a candle in my booth, and I'm just centering my mind, kind of quieting my head to get into my creative space. And in the darkness and stillness of my mind, I kind of see this dot, and it's just like a little white dot that's just in the distance, and I'm just like focusing on the little white dot. And it's never happened to me in meditation. Usually it's just the darkness of my mind, and sometimes flashes of sparkles and colors, like everybody that closes their eyes, right? But on this particular day, I just see like this pinhole in the darkness, just like the white little dot in the darkness. So I focus on it, and out of nowhere, it's rushing towards me. At the same time, I feel like I'm rushing through it. And it's like I'm being pulled out of my body and moving through this tunnel. And instantly, I'm what feels like to me to be the center of the galaxy or the center of the universe. And I'm floating there, and I'm kind of seeing myself in like I'm looking at my body from outside of my body, floating in the universe. And I'm kind of like just spinning around myself. And instantly, as I'm in this kind of like center of the universe, I get this feeling of what some would call the God brain, right? The Kundalini, the feeling everything everywhere all at once. The best way to explain it was it's almost like if I was in a field, I knew what it was like to feel to be every blade of grass in that field, at the same time to be the wind that's moving the grass, at the same time to be the left wing on a butterfly that's flying in the field. Like I just knew what it was like to be everything, all the positivity, all the love, all the hate, or just all of it. And while I'm wrapping my head around the fullness of what it feels like to have this kind of everything feeling, it's almost like my whole body gets pushed to the left. And all of a sudden, it's like I blink and I'm like floating above this refrigerator in this random kitchen somewhere, and I can kind of faintly hear my music playing in the background, just songs that I've recorded in the past. And I can see in the living room this husband and wife, and they're like physically beating each other up. Like the husband is really going to town on this woman. I'm feeling the anger of the husband. I'm feeling the pain that this poor woman is going through. And then at the same time, I'm hearing my music. And I'm like, what is going on here? And then I get pushed to the right. And now I'm in a whole nother place. And it looks like I'm in this like parking lot area, and it's the middle of the night, and once again I hear my music playing faintly on the radio, and there's like this old kind of like Buick or Brougham like car, like long Lincoln, and there's this guy in the passenger side, and he's tying up and getting ready to do what I believe to be some serious hard drugs. And once again, I'm feeling like the depression and the nastiness that's going through his mind, and the feeling that he gets from the euphoric drug and all this. And I'm feeling it while listening to my music. And then I get pushed back to the center of the universe. I'm going through this kind of like in my mind, and the universe fades away. And it's like I'm floating above this ocean. And I'm being shown this ocean. I can turn around in this ocean as far as I can see, every direction. And then this small little pebble just falls in the middle of this ocean, and just small ripples. I just remember seeing small seismic ripples. And then all of a sudden I get a flash of a tidal wave destroying the city on the other side of the ocean. And I get this instant feeling that that's what I'm trying to be shown. It's like the instant I saw the buildings being destroyed, I knew that no matter how small I thought my reach was in my music, it doesn't matter if I'm giving it to 20 people, if I'm giving it to 20,000, to 20 million, 200, it doesn't matter. It's destroying those 20 people, those 200, those on a level that I'm not seeing, and I don't know vibrationally. So here I am thinking my little song, hopefully an A&R at Bad Boy or this place or that place hears it. I'll get a record deal and that be it. And in reality, the people are hearing it and being inspired in the wrong way. Right when I get the realization and it sinks into my heart, it's like I'm falling right back through that light tunnel, slam right back into my body, and I just start bawling, crying. From that moment on, I knew that the music that I was making could not be the same kind of music I was making before. Now, once again, I'm not knocking anybody that makes that kind of music, but I knew at that point that I had to do something different with my gift, and that's when I wrote the song Calling All Hybrids. And then I haven't gone back ever since. That's pretty much in a nutshell my journey.
let me kind of back up just a little bit. So the show that I saw you on deals mostly with people who have NDEs, near-death, for anybody, near-death experiences. And yours is more considered OBE. You can do OBEs or out-of-body experiences at will now. But do you think that there is a connection? Because I'm listening to your experience, and I have a sister that had an NDE. And when she told me what she experienced, this was years ago, what she experienced, ever since that, I've been watching that show for the last maybe year or so, and just fascinated, because I'm like, oh, that's the same thing my sister told me that she went through, and so forth. So you're being on there, which was different from most who have had NDEs. Do you feel that the experience of folks who have what they call, maybe that, they were in an accident, or something happened on the operating table or whatever, and they left their bodies, are these beings, you saw grays, but would these some type of ET or extraterrestrial being maybe be responsible in those instances for guiding people? Because a lot of times what you hear is they see like life reviews, and they feel what they've done, and they feel the feelings of what they've caused and all of that and so forth. So to me, even though yours is not from an NDE, I see and I hear a lot of similarities in your experience. What do you say to that?
Well, that's a great question, number one. So I remember, I do speaking engagements from time to time. And I remember in one of my speaking engagements, I told the same story, and I was pulled at the end by a gentleman that said, I never had an ET experience, but I almost died in a car accident. And what you experienced when you said you felt everything all at once, and the blade of grass and all that, it was almost identical to what I felt. And that's when I was pulled into my life review. And then I just remember, because he asked me the same question, do you believe that these extraterrestrials is what the Bible depicts as angels? And I always say, why can't we have all of it, right? Why can't we have some beings that are from an angelic realm that are able to access the plane in which I was able to access when they wanted to show me or teach me a lesson? So let's say you have a dream in a lucid state and you're flying through the universe in that dream and you're very lucid at that time that you're flying through. Why can't that be the same experience that somebody has when they leave their body after they're getting ready to pass on or go on to the next level in their, life, right? Because we don't really ever pass. We just, exchange energy. So, with that being said, I guess to answer your question, I do believe that there are such beings as angels, that their sole purpose are to guide people through that transition properly. And I guess is attached to your beliefs. So if you're mostly a religious person and that's what you believe, whether it's ET or angelic, that's the form they take. And vice versa. If you're mostly, analytical mind and a balance of religion and both, maybe you get both. So I guess to answer your question, I would assume that it could be both. It just depends on the circumstance.
Yeah, because a lot of folks, a lot of people say they will recount that they didn't really see as much as they felt the presence of, this something that was this being that was like all encompassing, loving. They talk about a loving feeling and so forth. And then you even got people who just before they leave their bodies, they go or make that transition. They go, well, I left my body before the impact. It's like like some they the body was there when
They got pulled.
Yeah, they got pulled before, and it said, and I heard someone say, yeah, unless you wrote it in your contract that you wanted to experience the pain.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like, well, I hope I didn't write that.
So the funny thing that I was able to like gather from everything is that I hate saying guarantee, right? Because not anything is guaranteed, and I don't want to sound like the guy that kind of knows everything, right? But I would strongly bet on the fact that the lights don't just turn off, right? I would strongly bet on the fact that something happens and choices can be made. And sometimes, for whatever reason, we don't remember those choices. And before we come here, we sign those contracts and we go, you know what, you're gonna go through a dark soul of the mind period, a dark night of the soul period. It's gonna last you about 40 years, and then you're gonna go through 6 divorces, and then you're gonna reach your enlightenment. But the reason why you're doing so is like, who knows why we signed these contracts in the first place? But what I do know is if we did come here for a reason, and a majority of people that don't work out what that thing is have to just come back and do it again. And that falls into the kind of belief of reincarnation and stuff like that. But with the evidence that has been stated, and I could get into the scientific stuff, but I don't want to. And just enough evidence that states that the lights just don't go off unless you just want them to go off. And I also believe that time is for this realm and this realm only. So if a loved one passes over, 10 years from now, I wouldn't be surprised if they're just waiting on the other side a minute or two for you to go through your whole lifespan to get to them. So once they're on the other side, there is 2 breaths and they're ready to be back with you. So at least that's what I believe.
Well, I know, Cynthia, if you wanted to add, because you've had some experiences yourself.
Yes, I did. Well, my experiences started when I was 3, and I had this reoccurring dream up into every night, similar to what Rafael was speaking about. I would go to sleep, and as soon as I got into that realm sleep, well, then I was right back where I guess my past life was. And I was a warrior back in the day. I was with this, I guess, another person next to me, which was a man. I was still a woman back then. And we were fighting, and we were climbing this castle wall to go up and I guess fight these people or whatever. So I would always climb up the wall. We both climbed up the wall. We got into the top of the wall, and people were coming from either side. So we were fighting. I was fighting this way. He was fighting that way. People were coming from both ends, and we were fighting with swords. And we were just fighting, and all of a sudden everything would just go black. And that's where the dream would stop every single night from 3 years old till 16. And then
that's when they got you. Mm-hmm. That's when they got you. When you go black is when they got you.
Yeah. Well, whatever. But yeah, wow. So that's what I figured as I was growing up. But also as I was growing up, I was raised from birth to age 7 with my grandparents in North Carolina. My mom and dad, they both moved to New York not New York, California after they had me. They were both engineers and they went out to start their life. So my grandmother was indigenous, and my great grandmother, I knew 3 of my grandmothers, and my grandmother had this ability, she could see things and stuff like that. And they were always talk about people that were born with a veil over their face. Now my sister, she sees things. I always feel things. Okay, so
that's like me. I feel them. I see them. Yeah.
Fast forward, all my life, I've pretty much been a loner. I've never had any friends or anything like that in school. Both of my girlfriends that I did have, Helen and Cheryl, we called her Snooky, both died at a very early age. So as I moved into my spirituality, I figured they were there just to protect me, because I don't have any girlfriends or anything like that. Not in school, not in high school, not in college. I was very protected growing up. So I figured that was part of it. Fast forward to the 2000s, I was always in the Olympics from 86 to 2002, and I was a chef in my corporate position. So I would go to the Olympics to teach the back end people what to do. And so in 2002, that was the last Olympics I experienced. I came back to Texas and I went to San Antonio to open about 2 or 3 restaurants for USAA, which is a military insurance company. I was staying across the street at the Holiday Inn. So at 3:33 in the morning, I always keep a light on in my room. I've always
that time is legit. Yeah. That time is legit. That's the universe speaking right there.
Yeah.
That's the universe speaking.
Yeah. So at this particular time, since I always feel things, I never saw anything. Okay. So I woke up and I had to always keep the bathroom light when I'm in a hotel on, because it's too dark. So I had to use the restroom. I was getting up to do that, but then by my bed was this big old round, beautiful, I didn't know it was an orb at the time. I called it a ball. I didn't know what to call it. And it was just really iridescent and it was just sparkling like this. And so I was like, when you wake up, you think you're crazy. Okay. So I looked at it. I looked at it and then I was like, what the hell is that? And then I put the cover over my head like I was 2. And then I pulled it back and it was still there. So I did it again. And then I was like, oh my God, what is this? And then I thought my mother's baby sister, my Aunt Tretha, had passed when I was in the Olympics. So I thought, well, you hear all these things. My sister always saw things, and my grandmother and them talking about all the spirits and all that stuff. So I thought, well, maybe that's my aunt. But it shook me so bad, I had to go to the bathroom. I did not get up until the sun came up. Okay.
Same. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah,
so I went to work that day, and I was just off. Everybody was like, Cynthia, what's going on with you? I was like, nothing. And so at dinner, my safety manager, Dorothy Delata, she said, Cynthia, what's going on with you? She said, you've been so quiet all day. It's not like you. I said, Dorothy, I have to tell you something. I don't know. I said, last night I was visited by something. I said, it was, and I explained the ball and all that kind of stuff. And I said, I think it might be my Aunt Tretha. I said, but I don't know. So she said, well, why don't you talk to it? I said, I'm not talking to nothing. So I went to bed that night. And again, at 3:33 in the morning, I wake up to go to the bathroom. And there it is again. I go through the same process. And then I said, Cynthia, stop. Just get up and talk to it. I thought it was my aunt. So I said, hey, Aunt Tretha, thank you so much for, help raising me. I love you so much.
Which is very brave, by the way.
Your funeral, blah, 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 blah. So the thing
You stepped
disappeared.
into your power right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it disappeared. So I'm thinking, okay, well, that's what it was. But ever since then, I wake up at 3:33 in the morning. That's why I have 333 here. Okay.
I love it. That's my favorite number. Me and my wife, by the way, we 333 all the time. We see
Okay.
33s all the time. We follow 33s all the time. It's our synchronicity
It's
number.
very
all the
deep
time.
number. We need to do a whole show on that one. But
Let's do it. I'm with that.
seriously,
Give my
because I
wife
have a
call.
lot of
Give my wife
information.
call. She'll love all the information you have on that. I need to know it all because
Okay, I
that
have it. I
number
have it all
has
written
followed
down
me
too. So I'll send it to
since
you.
my awakening. That number has been following me like it's my way of talking to the universe. When I see that number on a receipt or on the clock, I
Mhm.
instantly think about what
yeah.
I'm thinking about at the time, but what I'm
Me too.
experiencing at that time instantly. Yeah.
Me too. So fast forward from 2002 to 2012. Okay, here we go again. Now keep in mind, I've been getting up every night at 3:33. I didn't see anything. So it was March. It started at March the 3rd in 2012 for 3 nights in a row. The
You
first
do the
time I
best.
got up, I went to the restroom. I'm here in a townhome in Texas. And in my
Yeah.
bathroom, there's a little window out that faces west. And when I went to the restroom, I happened just to look up, and then I saw this big, circle. It was all white. And so I knew it wasn't the moon. But then I thought to myself, you go crazy. You've already described how we feel. You think you're crazy. So you talk
Yep.
to yourself. You go, I don't know what that is. So I sat by my bed, and then I got up and went to work. I didn't say anything to anybody. And the night when I came home, I said, okay, I think I know who and what you are. I said, can you do it again? And I'm saying, Cynthia, you crazy as hell. What do you do? Who you talking to?
Brave again, not crazy. That's bravery. That's good.
Yeah.
But go
And
ahead.
so again, I go to bed, get up at 3:33, go to the restroom again, and I'm sitting on the toilet arguing with myself about whether I should look up to see, because I know it's not going to be there, right? So I said, okay, well, if you're so smart, just look. Why are you scared to look? So I looked, and sure enough, there was another one, a smaller one. And so I get up again, and I'm thinking I'm done lost my mind. Okay. I go to work. I don't tell my business partner anything. I come home. I open Facebook. Now my two sons live in Chicago. Okay. So here, this same thing is in Chicago on my son's Facebook. I don't know this man, but he's friends to my son. And he goes out and he takes a picture of it. And then that tells me
What?
I should have had a V8 because I bought a video camera in December. This is March, but I never charged it up. So
And we
that
never
told me
think
to
about
charge
having
it
it
up.
in that moment. Yeah, it's almost like they take that thought away from us when they appear. Like, just don't let them think about grabbing their phones.
Exactly.
It's like
Yeah.
instant.
So I charged it up. I said, well, nobody's gonna believe, you've been experiencing it. You ain't gonna tell everybody this. They think you crazy. So I
Mhm.
charged it up and I said, okay, before I went to bed, I said, okay, thank you for tonight. I said, but I do it again. And then I went to bed. I get up at 3:33, go to the restroom again. I argue with myself. I look up and there's a small one. Well, I'm still dripping in pee. I'm barefooted. I run outside. I get the camera and I'm taking the stairs, at 2 at a time to get outside. Now keep in mind, it was west, they were, facing west. When I got outside, they were facing east. So when I got outside, I just took that camera and I was barefooted and everything, pee dripping down my legs. And I'm just like, and I got it. And then there was all three of them. The big one was right here, and the two little ones were over here. The big one went whoop whoop, and then the other two went whoop whoop like that. And then the other one went like this again. Then they went like this, and then he flew off this way, and they flew off that way. And so I have the video for that. And in my research is when I found out they were orbs. Okay.
Wow.
Also, I'm an empath. I've always felt things. I felt when my
comes
first
with the
husband.
territory.
Yeah, I felt when the father of my two children passed. He was going to Florida for his birthday. We were already divorced and everything, and I didn't want him to go. I told him, I lied to him, and I try not to lie about anything, but I knew something wasn't right, and I didn't give a crap where he went, but he was saying, hey, I'm going to go see Scott. It's my birthday, and he's going to Florida. I said, please don't go to Florida. I said, it's raining. And so he said, well, if it's raining, I'm not going to go. And then I sat on my bed that night and I said, Cynthia, why did you lie to that man? Why did you say it was raining? But I had a feeling that something wasn't right. And
You
so
just
he
knew
said,
that.
well, if it's raining, I won't go. I said to myself, good, thank you. But I felt so guilty about lying to him. Anyway, that was a Friday. He said he was going to leave at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So I was hoping that he wouldn't go, but he called me. He said, Cynthia, I'm going. He says, I'll call you when I get there. I said, okay. Oh, well, he gets there at 11 p.m. and that was on Friday night. On Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, he called me at my job. And he said, I'm in Florida. Scott and I are getting ready to go out on the boat. I said, wear your life jacket. He says, I'm a grown man. Well, of course, when he said that, I said, oh, well, go screw yourself then, go, blah, 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 I got all bad. And I'm saying, why do I care what you do? Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, 2 hours later, he had drowned. He was dead. 2 hours later.
You knew it.
Yeah.
You had that intuition. And a lot of people have that feeling in their gut and they don't have the wherewithal or the thought to go, you know what, I'm just going to drill it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to try but you know what? In those situations, I always say, it was his time. It was time to go. It was just his time, or else
I couldn't prevent it.
He needed that warning to put on the life jacket. Something told him not to put on that life jacket, even though the opportunity to. So I just want to say wow to the fact that A, you was able to tap into that intuition, and B, that you were smart enough to attempt to try to relay that message. A lot of people just go, this is a thought, it's in my head, it's not going to happen, and they don't make that phone call.
No.
At least you made the phone call, so I commend you for that. That's
and
wow.
then I also, if you go back, and this was brought to my attention by a client, because when we're experiencing these things, we think we're crazy. So we're not really thinking, okay, the date, like I told you, when they started visiting me was in March. It was March 3rd, which is third month, third day. And it went to the 12th, which one of my clients said, well, 12 is 1 + 2 is 3. So it was March 333. Okay.
That's
and then they gave me 13. I have 13 here because they gave me 13 as well. And in researching some of the 13, we're supposed to have 13 months in a year, 13 astrological signs.
Oh, yeah, that's
it's a feminine number. The moon, women have 13 periods a year, even though they think they have 12.
On the back of a turtle's back.
And it's mother, so again, I feel things. I felt when one of my friends' mother passed, I was visited at that night and I wrote it. I still have it here. I wrote it down, but I didn't tell, them about it, but I wrote it down, and she passed. When she passed, she came to me. When my mom passed, she passed at 3:30. I knew. My sister called me and I said, she's gone. She said, yeah. And it was 3:30 in the morning. So, there's things here that we don't quite understand or know about, but some of us are chosen and awakened, and we're supposed to be here during this period of time to help humanity to come back to themselves. The new earth is going to be separate pretty soon. We're going to separate. And my grandmother taught me that. She said, you must, ground yourself. She said, because one day, she said, if you can't raise your frequency with planet Earth, you're just going to drop dead. That's what she said, just like that. And I believe that. And like I said,
everything is vibrational. Everything is vibrational. So if I tell people, like when I'm teaching people remote viewing, or I'm teaching people how to be telepathic and all that stuff, I always tell them two things. And once you figure these two things out, all of the abilities come like a flood of water. Number one is childlike imagination. We lose that as adults, and we don't understand that manifestation is nothing but the work of a childlike imagination with the belief that it's already happened, right?
Right.
So when you get into that flow state of like, I get this message, it's coming in, do I say the thing, or do it's not the thing, I'm making it up in my head? I mean, I've had that also happen to me with an extraterrestrial. I would assume I'm hearing something and somebody automatically goes, oh my God, this dude's hearing voices. Here we go. You know what I'm saying? But I even think to myself, when the voice internally comes in, is this myself, my imagination, wanting to have this experience so bad that I'm making the dialogue? Is it my higher self? Because I do believe that there's ways to access the oversoul, the past, present, and future. There's ways to affect the future with things you do in the present. And is it extraterrestrial, multidimensional? Is it ghosts? Is it family? And what I would say to that is, how does it make you feel, right? So the feeling attached to that voice or that energy that you're into will determine what you are in contact with, whether it be your higher self or whether it be an extraterrestrial or whether it be a ghost. And what a lot of people don't understand is that that gut feeling that you get when you're about to cross the street and you don't, and then somebody eats the light, or that gut feeling that you get where I don't want to order that specific thing because it doesn't say it has peanuts, but then you realize it does and you're allergic. Or that even that feeling you get when you're at a restaurant, somebody staring at the back of your head and you're like, what is this? Somebody staring at me? All of that is primal abilities that we all have as human, that if we just like working out, we kind of work those muscles, we'll be surprised when we're able to access all of us on a like real 5D, like high vibrational level. So you say the chosen one, but I bring it back to like the veil, right? Everybody has that veil, and then some of us by accident sneeze and it goes whoop and we see everything, and some of us purposely move it over, right? So it's just how many of us are lucky enough to see beyond it, even though we all can. You know, some people are just going to be closed-minded to the fact that these abilities are possible. Even hearing it now from different experiences that we've had, some people are still going to go, yeah, right. There's no way to really leave your body. I can give you the step-by-step routine that I've chosen to do. It is up to you to do it enough to experience the thing that you're trying to do. So you're going to try to, you know, have this out of body experience and then fall asleep the first day you try it, the second day you try it, the third day you try it. By the fourth day, you're like, whatever, it's never going to happen. But if you would have just tried 2 more days on the 6th, you could go to Egypt and back and remember it. So anyway, that's just a little tidbit, but I'm just so like honored at the fact that you really are like giving the audience the truth about when you have these feelings, you need to act on them. And I just think that's amazing that you're sharing that with us. So thank you for that. That's dope.
Oh yeah.
What do you all think of either of you with in terms of these so-called what are they calling them, Dior bags, and and the various sightings of orbs? I guess that's the same thing, but they're calling them Dior bags. What do you think in terms of that? Is it likely that it's happening from a human standpoint to try to get humanity prepared for something else that they might be planning, or is it visitation from, and we talked about this too, Rafael, from a standpoint of where if they are, where they're coming from? Because we talked about realms versus, and some folks get into the, well, I don't believe the earth is flat, whatever, but I've been studying a lot of stuff that shows that we're under domes, and it might be domes and domes and domes around.
I'm of that belief. I mean, if the Earth wasn't flat, just look at the maps. That's all I gotta say. I mean, after the I think it was the Arctic Treaty. That's when everything kind of changed and all the maps went left.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's just keep it real. We all know that something's being hidden, but we don't know what it is. So, I am of that belief too. I definitely do believe we're in a dome-like system. I don't believe we leave this system at all. I believe that we get as far as we can get, and that's pretty much. That's where we're gonna go.
Moving, from various, realm to realm. Like I was, recently learned about those Sanskrit terms where they talk about the I think it's called the locus, LOKAS, and the talus, and they talk about the various like there's like a realm here, like maybe 7 worlds, and here, but they're on top of each other. The 14 realms are like sort of like sandwich, you know what I mean? And the bottom half would be like we deal with our lower self, right? From
those are multi-dimensional beings.
So they they talk about those. And then you hear about, there are places, you see the ice wall maps beyond the ice wall, and you'll see places like Mars and this and that and the other. It's like those are the planets, but they're like they're not up
That
there.
seems
They're
more real to me, though. Moving sideways on this map instead of going up and out to different paths feel more accurate to me. If that makes sense. So I know the map you're referring to. I forget the name of it, but it's like maps that have sections. My wife is obsessed with that map as well. That's the reason why I'm like, and I always say, why can't we just go there? But
you probably can.
They don't want us there because
no, but you can probably make that as an OBE. You can just take a trip.
No, for sure. No, but you know what? That might be a good remote viewing thing to bring to the remote. I have like a remote viewing.
See what's going on.
It might be fun for the remote viewing team. Let's look beyond the ice wall. But yeah, with that being said, how much are they not telling us? You see, that's the reason why I decided to do the type of music that I do. I realized a long time ago that we have a very, we're very attached to the stars in ways that we're not privy to knowing. And we look up at these star systems and they feel like home, and we don't wonder why while we're standing on this planet. And what I could say is that we all have a piece of somewhere else inside of us, right? And sometimes your family reaches out and wants to say hello, and they come in the form of these orbs, or they come in the form of a physical ship, or a dream state appearance, or abduction, or contact experience. And what I would say is just be open enough and open-minded enough to just experience what comes in, and you never know what might come out of you. I've known people that go, you know what, you say you are a hybrid. I don't even know what type of hybrid I am. I feel a fascination with the Orion system. I'm very connected to the Sirius system. So it's like, I believe that I'm somewhere. I honestly believe that in my past life, I'm what they call a no-mo being. So if you listen to the work of this person, I forget his name. I think his name is Credo Mutwa. He talks about, Credo Mutwa talks about these beings that came from Sirius, the dog star, called the Nomo. And I just remember one time I'm in my research and I'm watching this video, and he has this statue. And he pulls up the statue, and it was like I'm looking at a reflection of who I used to be. I told my wife a couple of years back, I feel like I'm on this. I had this feeling like I shifted into this body in which this lifetime that I was having at the same time simultaneously to now. And it's like I shifted into that body while still noticing that I was this human avatar. So while I'm looking at my hands and they're webbed and they're scaly, I'm like, why are they not human hands? So that's why I kind of have this feeling of like, this is real, this is happening. And I noticed that there's these two really big planet-like stars in the sky, and then I noticed that the water is like purple, made out of jelly-like substance, and it's electrified. As I'm looking at the reflection of the water, I see what my face looks like, and I have these really big kind of scales for ears. I have a frog-like face, and I kind of snap into it, and I go back into my body. Years later, I'm watching this Credo Mutwa interview, and he pulls out a statue of these Nomo beings, and it was identical to what I remember looking like. And then I instantly put two and two together, and I go, okay, these Nomo beings, they brought knowledge from the stars, and they used, tones and music to blah, blah, blah. And then here I am using tones and music at this time. So I just believe that my soul was just like, listen, you used to be a Nomo, and now you're going to be human, and you're going to do the same work. So I guess another question that comes up too is a lot of people also say, how do you write your music, right? You're just sitting down and writing it, or are you getting downloads or whatever? I think it's a form of both. It's like I never know what I'm going to write. I hear the music, I kind of close my eyes, and then instantly ideas pop in. So if you want to call that a download, okay, we could call that a download, but it could just be my creative process. But I do believe that the words that come in and go through the music are kind of meant to awaken somebody at some point to do something great. So it's almost like that phrase that somebody said. I don't know. I think it was Tupac. Tupac said it best. He was like, I don't know if I'm going to be the person that changes the world with my music, but I know that my music will spark the mind of the person that does. So that's kind of where I'm kind of going with it. I kind of look at this movement now where people are using their creativity and they're speaking more about their spirituality now, and they're speaking more about their experiences now. And I mean, I can't help but to think that I helped pioneer that movement. So regardless if I get the flowers of like, oh, you're one of the first ones to start rapping on some positive and talk about aliens, it's not about being the first one. It's just I don't mind being the pebble or the first ripple that causes the tidal wave for positivity. I just want to do my part and be a piece of the puzzle, not the whole puzzle itself. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, I believe if we all approach that way, if we all kind of use our creativity, for instance, you're using the creativity right now of communication, of being able to bring others together and enlighten them. That's what you do. And I just feel blessed and honored to be able to have this platform, to be able to just say a little bit of what I do. So once again, I just want to say thank you to you guys.
Well, I appreciate you. Yeah, to me, it was a divine connection. Like I said, I watched that particular show, but to see when I saw, you pop up, the ad for your particular broadcast, I listened, and there was a spark of a connection that just, I was like, I gotta reach out to him. And
she told me.
I did that day that I was searching for you. I connected, and I said he responded. You know
what's so funny? And that's not to cut you off, but I'm gonna tell you how much you mean to me and how much this program means to me, and the fact that you did that. So what a lot of people don't understand is this journey that we are all on, the spiritual journey, this awakening journey, this starseed journey, or whatever you want to call it, it's exhausting. And it tends to become a lot. So at the time that you beautifully sent that beautiful message, I was almost 2 seconds away from hanging it up. And I hate admitting that, because a lot of people just want to hear that, oh no, it's your job to do the work, you're going to constantly do the work. But if I wasn't honest with the audience, then what kind of service am I really giving to them? Like, as a starseed, as a person that does this kind of music, I sit down and I go, should I be doing this? Is anybody even listening? Am I really helping those? Is it really affecting others? And I'm looking at this recording studio, and I can easily just sell every piece of my studio right now and make it so comfortable for my family, and we'll have a nice little, nest egg and all that. And then I get this beautiful message, and I'm talking about, I think I was 45 minutes from before I even read the message. I was already like in my feelings. I'm done, almost crying, thinking about putting it all on eBay. And then I get the message, and my wife goes, every time you think about quitting, somebody out of nowhere sends you an email or a message about how much what you're saying or doing is helping, or it's doing something that's making some sort of positive movement. And with that message that you gave me, it just reinvigorated. All the music I'm releasing right now would have never came out if you ain't sent that message. So I just want to give you your flowers in love, and letting you know, because you were brave enough and because you had the heart to go, you know what, this person affected me, I'm going to, at least if anything, let them know I was affected. That kind gesture could be the reason why we help enlighten so many more people. So I just want to say thank you for that.
And she did, because immediately she emailed me. She said, here's this, look at this. And she sent it to the show, and I looked at it. I'm like, oh my She said, I'm gonna get him on the show. Like, we got to talk to him. Yeah, because we like-minded
Yeah,
people.
that's the reason why I was like, I'm here whenever you need me. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm always gonna remember the feeling I had before the message, and I wouldn't, I wouldn't be making the music anymore. So,
and there's no coincidence, by the way, either. So
no,
you know that.
I knew it. But I was smart enough also just to give me a little bit of love too. And my wife, my beautiful wife, Melissa, I got to give her flowers because she always puts me on the right track. I've been with my wife for 22 years now, and I just don't see it. None of this. A lot of what I do today is because that beautiful, beautiful partner of mine has the heart and the soul to be able to say, look, man, yeah, you could be a construction worker and pay all the bills, yeah, whatever, but
do your dream. You can't leave that on the table.
It wouldn't be done without her. So I also want to give her flowers too. So this is a team. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Hello, that's my favorite saying. Other than it's all about me. That's what I used to say.
And you know what? I just went and just see if I could find your music, because I don't think you did anything on your on that particular interview. I didn't see you actually them show any of your music, but I found your music. I went to Spotify, found you, and I made my own playlist of 32 of them. Of 32 of them, with rotation, to the point that now my Spotify AI DJ said, we're gonna start you off a little bit of Skitz The P.L.K.
Well, you know what? I appreciate that a ton. It's like I said, the goal is, I'm not gonna lie, right? We all want to find a way to financially support our family with the mission that we put out there. So my goal is to always give out more than what I'm asking for, because at the end of the day, I'm of service to the cause and the community. So I will always show up. That's why I tell everybody in every interview, you message me just like you beautifully did, I will write back. I will openly say, whatever it is. I just had a person hit me up today and was like, I've seen extraterrestrials before, and I just wrote, I would love to hear about it. And if I would tell you how many times, because sometimes people just want someone to talk to, and I understand that because I didn't have nobody. So it's platforms like this, and it's other platforms that I've been on, that I've really do notice that we are doing good work, and I just want to put out there that I love this. I almost cursed right now. I just want to let you know. So I held myself back, but I was going to say F word love this, but I can't do that. I was in my feels right now.
But no, I didn't ask you this, but do you have any implants?
Okay, so it's funny you said that. So I have a researcher friend of mine that I'm currently working with. He helps give me like UFO videos and stuff like that for the podcast and stuff. And we're going back and forth on our implants and how they're magnetic. So I believe I have two. I believe I have one behind the ear. I could take a magnet and just stick it there and it sticks. I don't know why. I don't have any metal parts in my brain. It's not like sticking to my skin because it's oily. I've cleaned it, tried it, and done everything I could to try to make it not stick, and it sticks. And then I have a skin tag that also has a hard piece of metal that tends to move underneath my right foot. Every night, my wife is always kind of like taking tweezers and trying to pull at it. And no matter how much she tries to get under there to pull at that implant, it just keeps moving either inward or outward. It tends to move, but it lets loose a frequency. If I put a radiation detector thingy mabobbit, it lets loose a frequency of like 0.05 or 0.06 or something like that. So it lets loose. It has a frequency.
Yeah, I heard Whitley Strieber said that he had something behind his ear and he wanted to get it out, and his wife said no. But when he did go to this doctor to try to get it out, every time he went to touch it moved. It kept moving.
Yeah, it moved.
It moved. But he said he found out that was really the mode of communication, one of the modes of communication between he and the the ET.
I believe it's like cattle. I just believe it's like cattle to them. They tag us and they want to know where we are, and
that's what I said. They know who we are and where we are.
And I also believe that has a lot to do with the shutting down of the body. You see, a lot of people always tell me this too. How are those aliens real? Or no, excuse me, how are those aliens benevolent and nice if they always put you under some sort of control when you're with them? Well, okay, let's just put it out there. I'm 6'2", 280 pounds. I'm terrified. Well, I was at the time terrified of what these beings look like. If they gave me the ability to move my hands, I would snap all of them in half out of pure fear. Just pure animalistic, oh my God, what am I looking at? Fear, I would snap them all in half. So with that, they're all frail. I've never seen a strong ET. They're all frail, very skinny, like they don't use their bodies to do much. They use their minds to do mostly a lot of what they're doing, whether it be creating, moving, communicating, eating. All of it is energetic and all of it is mental. So with that being said, their muscles are not necessary. So the control, the implant that I believe also has some sort of dealings with my motor skills when I'm in their presence, I think it's for their protection and mine. I mean, I might trip over something and cut myself on something sharp they have because I don't know what room they keep their utensils. In retrospect, like I said, I might get so scared that I move my hand in a certain way, and because they're so frail, I snap their neck, and now the work that they're trying to do can't be done. So I think that when people see that they're being controlled in these circumstances, I think they need to look inward and kind of understand, well, what would you really do if you wasn't in control? Would you go along with them? Would you follow them into the operating room or do the test that they're doing? Or no, you wouldn't willingly do that. So you wouldn't tell them, yeah, go ahead, do it. Maybe some of us will. I laugh all the time. People say when we're doing CE5s, what if a spaceship lands right now and a 7-foot grasshopper comes out, I would walk towards it. But I am the weirdo that would walk towards a 7-foot grasshopper. A lot of people wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? So that's my little tidbit for that as well.
Well, I feel several years ago, I had this feeling that I had something going on in my neck, something. And so I would just go over here and pinch in the area that, and I found, well, not anything, but a hole. And then to verify the hole, and it's still there to this day, if I squeeze it, now I can say this, and I smell my hand, I can smell what comes out of it. And this has been for years, like a hole a hole right here. Yeah. And it's like a pinhole. But somebody said, check this hole. What?
Same thing. I have a hole in the bottom of my foot right now. My wife says all the time, I don't understand how you have a perfect circular pinhole hole on the bottom of your foot. I don't get the technology neither, but I got them too. It sounds about right. About right.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I remember way back 20, 30, maybe 40 years ago, I was a real stargazer. I used to be a DJ. And I would come home late. Yep, I would come home late from a DJing gig, and I would sit outside for maybe a half hour, leaning on my car, just looking at the stars, waiting for somebody to come get me, which they never did.
Yeah,
so I'm saying there's some, like you were talking about. There's sometimes in us a longing. We don't understand what the longing is from, or that it's a connection, but you always find yourself. And of course, as years have gone by, I don't look as much, but I've been looking up more lately, only because of all of these little sightings. I'm like, well, let me see if I see something dipping around or whatever. And I'm so close to New Jersey. I mean, could we be able to see them in Delaware? But no, I have not yet.
Well, if you want to see them, it's pretty easy. I could give you the technique. It's not hard at all. Number one is, let's try to put ourselves into the state in which we understand how their technology works in the first place, right? The technology, a lot of it is thought based. A lot of their technology, if they want their ship to go forward, straight up and down, they're not moving sticks or doing anything with their hands. They're just mentally saying go forward, left, and right, right? So, with that being said, intention is number one, right? Why do you want to see these beings? Do you want to see them because you want them to do tricks for you in the sky? They're not going to show up. It has to be a heartfelt reason why you want to connect with these beings. Once you get that connection, we have to give them a location. We got to bring them in. We're kind of like a landing strip. Where do you want me to be? And that's where the technique that Dr. Stephen Greer comes into play, and it's called vectoring. You want to vector these people in almost like a satellite. What I like to do is I like to meditate, put myself in a nice state, nice state of gamma, low theta mode. My brain is kind of still. All the thoughts are leaving my brain. All I have is my childlike imagination. What I do is I imagine a spotlight coming out of the crown of my head, just a spotlight going straight into the middle of the universe. And I'm talking about it's so bright, you can see it from the center of the galaxy, just a light pinning. You can see it for miles, thousands of miles. The more and more I imagine that light, I imagine myself going up and down that light. As I go up, I imagine what it looks like to see what the campsite looks above that I'm at. I imagine what it looks like to see the tree line. Then I imagine what it looks like to see my state, then my city, my country, my planet. And then all of a sudden, I showed them that it's the third planet from the sun. It looks like this. I'm in this location. It looks like Colorado. Here's my address. I start putting everything in my mind that has to do with location. Find me. This is what my area looks like. Once I do that, and I do that a couple of times and I bring it in, I simply just center my mind, wait, and just look up. And usually what ends up happening is they either fly by, or you'll see a light in the sky, all of a sudden it'll flash, blink, split into two, and then split off. So they want to communicate with us as much as we want to communicate with them. Also is that they're so nice, and well, at least the ones I communicate with are so benevolent and so beautiful that they don't want to scare anybody. So if you have just an ounce of fear, just a little bit of, I kind of want to see them, but I'm not ready, then they just won't come because they want to honor you not being scared. They want you to have a positive experience and not a negative one. So it always comes to the point of when you do these things, you have to really be mentally prepared. Also, it helps to like eat good and meditate a lot because your vibration internally needs to be as close to their vibration as possible. It's harder for them to lower their vibration to speak to you than it is to meet you halfway. So it's kind of like
most people they try to awaken themselves, but they can't because they're still in their lower chakras, and you have to rise above that in order to get to where you're speaking. And for me, my mother, she would always say, hey, she didn't know where I come from. And I would tell her I came from Zircon. And so
I want to know where that's at.
She always tells folks, I love you for the Zircon and back. The Zircon and back. And then I got a new vehicle in 2025, my vehicle. And what's the color? The color is Zircon sand.
Yeah, she told me when I first got her car, I was like, whoa.
You tell me.
That's here's another caveat about that. I've said that in my entire life when I was a child, and my mom used to take me to Griffith Park Observatory. Every Sunday after church. Oh, by the way, I got kicked out of church at 12, but we'll talk about that later. But every time after church, they would go to the beach in Santa Monica. She had to drop me off at Griffith Park Observatory. And I would always stare at the stars too, always. And when we were children, we could really see thousands and millions of stars, not anymore because of the pollution and all this other stuff. But I would always say, I come from Zircon, and she would just shake her head like, whatever, But
same. I used to tell people like, so I think that the government for a very long time knew what was happening to me and my family, right?
They know.
So I would have special classes that I would have to go to when I was in public school. And it would be classes like all of a sudden 2 or 3 kids will be taken out of class and will be taken to the library, and there'll be these TVs set up and they'll put headphones on you and the TV, and you see these images and you're supposed to write down the feelings you get from the images. And then you get these cards and you're supposed to try to what card is that? Go, oh, this has a star under there, and you're right. And then I talk to all other kids and I'd be like, hey, you know that one class? And they're like, what class?
What class?
You know that one class where they have you like guess the cards and they show you the images? And nah, bro, never had that class. And I was like, well, was I in like a special ed class or something? Like, I don't know.
No.
And I talked to my mother. And then I remember another situation in which I was in this camp when I was staying in Puerto Rico with my family. And it was like a summer camp. And I remember distinctly my mother explaining it to me. She was like, yes, these people pay us. They paid us so you could go to a camp for summer. And I was like, oh, okay. Usually you're supposed to pay for kids to go to camp, right? Because you got to pay for them to use. I've never heard of somebody getting paid to go to a camp, but okay. I guess my family was paid so I could go to this camp that I barely remember. I just remember arriving and leaving. So it's like little things like that. It's like, why don't we bring that out into the public? Why don't we say what's going on? Hey, these kids are special and they have certain abilities that allow us to, do certain things for national security, or they allow us to, learn more about the mind on a deeper level. It's like,
because
what is
it
all
doesn't
this?
benefit them.
There you go. So yeah,
they made deals, right? We're told back in what was it, 1940 something with Eisenhower, Truman, whatever.
Yeah.
Back in those days, they made deals for technology, bodies for technology out in exchange. That they would be able to, take folks, at will, and I don't know what the deal was, whether or not they had to bring you back intact or what, but And I just remember myself too that in 2019, a friend of mine and I took a road trip to Little Rock, Arkansas, and by the time we got to, we put the trip in half. So I picked her up in Baltimore. I drove from Delaware to Baltimore. We drove. I forgot the name. It starts with a C. To part of Tennessee, and that's where we were going to stay for the night, and then continue our trip to Little Rock the next morning. And we were approaching the Econo Lodge that we were going to stay at, and we're maybe about a mile or so away. And all of a sudden, I looked up and I could see what looked like lights in a circle. I'm driving, right? I'm traveling, and so I'm seeing these lights. And I say to my friend, because in the passenger, I said, "Do you see that?" And she could do like this because I couldn't, because I was driving. I had to feel. And so she said, "Yeah." And so we saw these lights as we were going up to rising, going up to where we were going. About 6 months later, I turned on Coast to Coast AM. It was already on, it comes on late night. I turned on Coast to Coast AM, and there's the guests is down there talking about UFO hotspots around the world. And so he's visited different places where they are. And he mentions this I forgot the name, place in Tennessee. And so I went in my drawer. I had the folio from the motel that we stayed in, the Econo Lodge. And darn if it wasn't where we were. That was the town we were in. As we were approaching the Econo Lodge, all I could see was lights up above, like in a circle going around. First, I thought I was crazy. So I said, "Ernestine, do you see that?" And she put her head, she said, "Yeah." I mean, we didn't talk a lot about it. And let it go. And like I said, 6 months later, there's a guy on Coast to Coast AM, and he mentions the same town in Tennessee as a UFO hotspot.
Yeah, that was definitely a UFO. That's how they move in sequence. It's weird. Sometimes I think that there's separate lights that are moving with each other, but sometimes it's one big ship turning lights on and off. So it's like it's weird, but yeah, that sounds like a sighting to me.
If I was by myself, I probably would have said, maybe I was hallucinating because I drove to Atlanta by myself, and halfway through the trip I saw elephants, but it was really the overpass. It was the overpass. The overpass columns had turned to elephants. That's when I knew I had to pull over.
Stop taking that.
That was from sleep deprivation. But no, yeah, I saw those lights. I saw the lights.
I haven't had a sighting in a while. Last time I had a sighting, other than a CE5, just like a legit. It was in Oviedo. It was a while ago, a couple of years back. So unless I'm doing a CE5, that's another thing too. It's not an everyday thing for me, and I don't know too many experiencers that in this phenomenon that it happens to every day of their life. Like they can almost get that it happens every night. Like it'll be a week and I can't get them out my room, and I will see them and I feel them walking around, and then it'll be 3 years that I don't get a sense of any kind of energetic entity, and then it'll be a month where I can't get rid of them again. So it's like I guess if I really wanted to have contact, I can meditate for 2 or 3 days. I can really in my body internalize that I want to have a meeting and I really want to express. And then in a moment of meditation, they might just say, hey, you've been calling the phone. What's going on? Like, what you want to talk about? I'm trying to get more into, I believe the next phase of my contact experience is channeling, because I'm getting a lot of like being pushed to channel. I'm getting a lot of like something wants to speak through me. But then again, I get this kind of hindrance of religion and, is it demonic possession, yada, yada, yada. So I fall into this kind of like still teetering. Should I be doing channeling? Should I walk into it? So I'm kind of still awakening on my process. But I think as time progresses, the more confident I get into the messages that I'm receiving, that's kind of where I'm leaning. The music will transition.
Can I help you out there a little bit, Rafael?
I would love that. Please do.
If you're really serious about channeling, the first thing I would do or recommend that you do is to protect yourself, because if you're teetering and tottering, then you're leaving yourself open to something that's not so good. So what I would need you to do is get you some salt, okay, and surround yourself with that before you start to channel, okay, because they know who you are, okay, and those teetering, tottering people, they know that you're open. They're going to try to come on in there and they'll fool you, okay?
Yeah, exactly. My problem.
So
that's what I'm like
with salt. My grandmother taught me that, okay?
So
she said always put a line of salt at your front door and your back door.
You know what's funny is my mother told me the same thing with the salt, and then she told me put a little bit of salt in a glass of water, fill up the glass of water, put it behind your bed, and that should help capture any negative spirits.
That's
I remember doing that one time,
so do that before you start channeling, because they know who you are. They all the entities know who you are, and they would love to come down here and use you. Okay.
Yeah.
So before you do that, because I can feel your spirit and your energy. Okay. And it just spoke to me. I said, hey, I have to protect my brother here. Okay. So
that's what I'm doing. That's phase number 1. Check. Got you. On the list.
But you also have the gift of mediumship. And
yes.
So you with both.
And sis, you are too. You're very powerful. She's very powerful. She ain't talking about it, but she's very, very powerful. She could tell you things. Okay.
Well, she did. Last time you spoke to me, you told me to write down. Yeah. Last time you spoke to me, you told me to write down all of the gifts that I have, because I told you that I was having an issue with wanting to tell the world, that I'm going to step into my power. This is what I do now. And she gave me some great advice. And in doing the work, because I took the advice, did what she asked me to do, a lot of things opened up and it became more clearer to me. So she definitely has an intuition. Dr. G, you have an intuition. For sure.
She does.
When I was a pastor,
I need to speak to Cynthia.
No, I'm saying back when I was a pastor at the altar, I used to always try to figure out how I could tell people stuff, because it would seemed to me come from somewhere outside of me. And they were like, well, how do you know this? And I would go, I just know it in my knower, because I didn't even know.
Just know it in my knower.
Yeah, I would say it bypassed my mind and came out of my mouth, because if it came to my mind, I would toy with it, question it. So a lot of times, sometimes the things that you say, if spirit is trying to give you something, they'll just go out the mouth, because if it stops here, that it's a wrap most of the time, because then you're like, nah, what if
ego gets into it. Ego gets into the way. That's okay. So the first 100%. The first time I did a very accurate, 100% accurate meeting, I forgot how do you call it, but like reading to a person, it wasn't even asked to me. He was just telling me about his father that passed. And then it's almost like I felt like these two hands come onto my shoulder. And then I felt like the heat of somebody whispering into my ear. And that was the first time that I have sensed that. And on any other occasion, I would just be like, whatever, there's nothing really touching me, or whatever the case may be. But I let go, and I just told my boy, yo, I think your pops is trying to tell you something. And when I opened myself to say, I think your pops is trying to tell you something, I got images and impressions and downloads of what I was supposed to tell him. And I ended up letting him know. Well, I just said the story. A friend of mine's an actor. I'll give you the short version. A friend of mine's an actor, but he's never really made it on a successful level. His father had a disease that left him in a wheelchair, was really old. His father used to help him in the acting thing, like help take him to places or be with him on auditions and help him with the readings of, do the scenes or whatever. And he always promised his father that he was going to make it so he can give his father the proper medical treatment that his father deserved, financially, all this stuff. And his father passed, and he had this resentment on him. He didn't tell me this. He kept this to himself at the time, but his father let me know that he had this resentment of, he didn't make it before his father passed. So he kind of felt like his failure in acting was sort of a reason why his father passed, because if he would have made it as an actor, he would have had the money to keep his father around for a little longer. So it's kind of was sitting on him. And I get this vision of, it's kind of like I'm seeing it from always above, like a corner of a room somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I see him walk into his father, and he's holding his father's hand. His father cannot speak. He's already in a coma, or in that phase where they're a vegetable, getting ready to pass over. And he's just like, Dad, I just want to say I love you, and I'm sorry I didn't make it as an actor. I feel like I failed you. And I guess he's telling his father everything that he wishes he was able to accomplish. Please just come back, Dad. And his father felt bad that he wasn't able in that time, although he heard everything, felt everything, wasn't able to tell him, you're not a failure, you're a success. The fact that you even tried to do it, the fact that you put yourself out there and spend all these years attempting it, that's my joy, was watching my son follow his dreams. And I just, like you said, it just came out of me like water. I didn't know what I was supposed to say or how I was supposed to say it. I just said it. And he just cried uncontrollably. Wow. And he said, there is no way that you can know that that's how I felt. And there was no way that you can know what I said to my father, because you told me down to holding his hand and whispering in his head. I mean, I told him down to the color of the wallpaper of the room that he was in. Like, he died in his house. He didn't die at the hospital, or he died like in a medical bed, but it was like a hospice. It was like a room. It wasn't a hospital like room. And I was able to like describe everything in the room. And he was like, and it was just me and him. There's no way that you can know. Like, how was you there? And then right when he started crying, I feel the hands release off my shoulders, and I get an overwhelming feeling of thank you. And that's when I was like, I guess I can do this too. And then I go do a circle of other mediums and psychics, because I just wanted to know if I was crazy, right? This was earlier on. And I just remember this one lady, she's just looking at me in this circle, and we're all going around kind of talking about our gifts and all this. And she's just staring at me, and she goes, how many times have they killed you in your past lives for using your gifts? You must have got killed so many times. And I was like, why? And she was like, you don't want to use your gifts on this planet, right? You just, if you can just hide in this world and not tell people that you can sense energy, be telepathic, do all this, you would just hide. And I was like, yeah, because they're going to think I'm crazy. And she was like, you were killed in multiple lifetimes, because every time you tell somebody you can do what you do, they kill you for it. You're a witch, they hang you, they burn you at the stake, they murder you. So you brought that into this lifetime. I can tell you right now, release that, because this is the life in which you do the work. And I was like, oh man, it's made so much sense to me. And that's when I was like, yo, we all as humans have gifts, and we can all unlock these gifts if we just do the work. So I guess that's the theme, right? Do the internal work, do the work.
But again, there's so much distraction in the world until most people, they grow up and they lose that, like children.
Yes.
If I was, I can almost say, I'm not for certain, because I think it's, it's inherited in most of the women. Okay. But I think sometimes that if I were to be, raised by my parents first initially, then I wouldn't be as astute in my gift as I was if, being raised by my grandparents. Mm-hmm. So that being said, I think the distraction in the world, what causes all people lack in, experiencing their true selves, to be honest.
That's on purpose.
Cynthia, I wanted to say this as she was saying, remember she was giving the story about seeing herself, the dream, and she was the sword and so forth, and a warrior. Cynthia, tell everybody what it is you do in this life besides being.
Well, first of all, I am a warrior in this world.
Let's go.
Here you go. This is one of my, and this is from Japan. I have another one in the garage, but I've never been trained, but I know how to use this. I also shoot. I have all types of weaponry by my bed, upstairs, guns.
And you train in archery, train people in archery.
And archery. Yeah, I do that. They call me Robin Hood over at the archery place. So I do all of that, and I've never been trained. My grandfather did shoot, teach me how to shoot a shotgun when I was younger. So, but other than that, I teach, people to shoot. So, but
a warrior. That's 100. You brought that with you.
Yeah,
you brought that.
I brought it with me.
I would have never guessed it. Let me find out. You're going to teach me how to archer. I'll learn from you. I don't care.
Okay, no worries. As a matter of fact, I was one of the first people here in Houston. Me and one of my clients, we the ones that got it in the Olympics. The archery. Remember, archery was never in the Olympics. Yeah, I still have paperwork upstairs.
So cool. Oh, let's go, bro. Oh my God. That's so cool. I'm telling you, when we link up, I'm taking a lesson.
Well, that's what I do when I want to relax. Other than meditation, is I do my archery because it's like golf.
I got bow and arrows at the house, so I resell and I buy lockers and I sell them on eBay from time to time when I want to get somebody to keep the lights on, right? And I bought this locker a couple of months back that was just full of archery equipment. It just had nothing but bows and arrows.
What do you have?
Can't really. I have just the regular pullback.
Okay, you have the curve bow.
Yes.
Okay, I have a curve bow. I have 2 combo bows, and then I have a crossbow that's automatic with the with the CO2.
I have the crossbow too. That's automatic. And you know what? All I do with that thing, I put a pumpkin in my backyard, and me and my kids just shoot arrows at it. That's all we do. It's just so much fun to just shoot arrows at a pumpkin. I don't know why, but it's fun.
Yep. And then when I had my farm, I put lights on my arrows because I used to sit on my porch and then just shoot them at night, so I know where my arrows went. So I have lights on my arrows.
Warrior princess, let's get it.
Hey, I'll wake up to violence any day. Somebody mess with me and my family.
Hey, end of the world comes, we trekking to your house.
Hey, that's right. It's all good over here. Okay.
I got no problem learning from you.
And I have my AR upstairs too.
I don't know how to shoot it. You can teach me that too. I'm with it. Jeez Louise. Don't make her mad.
Yeah, see, no.
Listen, here's what I want. I want to say this too, because I want folks to know that you have this awesome documentary that is. I have the link in the description, but in the description of the show. So if you're looking on YouTube, you look down. I think the link for the video "Calling All Hybrids," which is available. If you just go, or if you have Amazon Prime and you put in "Calling All Hybrids," you can either rent it. You can either rent or you can. I purchased it because that way I can look at it more than once. And if you get that video, then not only will you get to see they get to see you, but they'll get to see Melly Mel or Melissa, aka Melly Mel Lugo.
Hey.
I love she's the vocalist on all of your music, the female vocalist that's singing, and I just love her music. I'm going to get the two of you back on because we're going to talk about, because there's some stuff that's in your video. I don't want to talk about it because I want them to in the documentary. They can go see it on the documentary. But it's amazing. Like I said, for you to have as much gifting and ability as you have, and to not be more known. Not being more known, but it's time for you to come out. Now, I was a little disappointed because there's not nearly as many people on the live as I would have liked to have been on this live. However, one thing I know about our videos is I haven't been on for like 2 months.
And whoever was supposed to be here, sis, are here. Like my grandmother said, there's going to come a time when we need to just shut up.
But what I'm saying is that after the fact, we have a lot of views after the fact.
Yeah.
Sometimes we may have a couple of hundred people on the live, and then I look in the next morning and it's like 2,000 views. But so people are going to look. I don't want to put you on the spot, but Rafael, before we go, can you just spit like something? Can you say? Can you?
Of course.
Come on.
All right, let me see what I got. Let me see. It all started with stardust, melodic harmonics and thoughts. That be the sauce that defines us. We're just a fingerprint of sound. Take a second and wait until you get it. It's profound when you find out that your body never weighed a pound, because the truth is we're just energy moving around. Can't you feel it when it's coming from the ground? That's why we dance around the fire so proud. See, I'm proud of the vibes that we founded. The foundation's the fountain of youth when you're grounded. Running barefoot to the top of the mountain. Eating sun rays in the days like we're counting calories. But okay, well, that's all I want to do.
We all live in the jungle, right?
Hey, that's the jungle. Why do we all live in the jungle?
Yeah. See, I was like, remember. See?
I love that. Yeah, but you know what I'm thinking? Maybe we should do is maybe we should have a listening party for like the next time I come up with some exclusive music, maybe you guys, maybe another theme song if needed, a little extra song. I'll be more than happy to bring that to the house. No problem.
Yeah. So I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Yep.
I'm down. It's the least I could do for you, sending that message and helping re-spark the love that I have for this, for my work and what I have. So just consider it done. Let me know what I can do. And that's on any level. Just let me know what I can do. I'm always going to be here for the community.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I appreciate it. Listen, I want to say to whoever is listening, if you have not already done so, when I was talking about him, we were talking about him on Friday. Go to Spotify, or if you don't have Spotify, at least go to YouTube, because you've got it, and you can look Skitz The P.L.K.
Yeah, I'm everywhere. You can go to Apple Music, Spotify, any streaming service that you use to listen to podcasts or audio, or even if you want to put me in your stories, just simply search the name in the middle, Skitz The P.L.K, Prophet Lucid King, and all of my stuff pops up. You could throw that name in Google and all of my links will be there. Now, I'll be dropping music on a consistent basis this year. I'm tired of not doing the work. I'm tired of being in my head. So I'll be doing the work all year. So
I'm gonna hold you to it too.
I don't know if I could do, like, I have a little teeny snippet of something that I recorded on my phone. You think it's all right? Is it all right for me to play it if it's just a minute?
Go ahead. Yeah, we'll love that.
If I could, let me see. I don't know which one. Let me see. Okay, here we go.
See if I can.
I want to remind y'all that we all come from the same place, right? Peace, love, and light, baby. It all started with stardust, melodic harmonics and thoughts that be the source that defines us. We're just a fingerprint of sound. Take a second and wait until you get it. It's profound when you find out that your body never weighed a pound. Cause the truth is, we're just energy moving around. Can't you feel it when it's coming from the ground? That's why we dance around. The fire's so proud. See, I'm proud of the vibe that we founded. The foundation's the fountain of youth when you're grounded. Running barefoot to the top of the mountain. Eating sun rays in the days like I'm counting calories. But instead, I'm recharging like batteries. The data is what matters. So get rid of inside the G to get us more connected. Let's get rid of our salaries and get back to the jungle. My name is Rafael Lugo. My artist name is Skitz The P.L.K. Skitz the Prophet, Lucid King. And I have had experiences with ETs since I've been about 5-6 years old. And it's been off and on ever since.
That's just a little.
Yeah, that was good.
I did it from with my phone to the TV.
No, it's cool. Listen, first of all, if I would have known you was playing the clip, I would have never done the same rap. That's number one. I would have gave you an exclusive song. Here, let me see. But and secondly, yeah, I really do appreciate you showing the clip to everybody. It really does mean a lot to me. I mean, it's a long time. I mean, the journey it's been weird. It's almost like I'm getting a lot of good feedback from my family, which is amazing. I love the fact that I'm able to bring that to their attention and we're able to have a dialogue about it. So that was one of the best things that could have happened in this situation. But, you know, a lot of people, as always, you know, you always got the haters and the naysayers out there. So I just want to say to all the people that, you know, might believe that this is all just hoopla and you know, it is what it is. You have every right to believe that, but I would really say is open your heart and just, you know, do some research and you never know what you've been able to find. Bare minimum, I hope that I at least planted a small seed in your brain that will start to blossom as you do some research. And I don't hold any negativity towards anybody that doesn't believe in the things I'm saying. So I just want to also put that out there because a lot of people just be like, if you don't believe what I believe, it's a wrap. Now, real quick, before I go, can you hear this? Let me see if I can play this quick. Can you hear this? Does that come out when I play it? All right. So this is a song that I have yet to release, but I figure why not give a little bit of an exclusive, right?
Oh, yeah.
So tell me what you guys think. It's not mixed fully. I'm playing it off of Pro Tools.
Put your energy in motion. The minute dreams are approaching with vibrations or waves that cheat flows like an ocean. Breathe and let's achieve what the mission needs to be potent. Side to side with the hybrids, this rhythm leads to devotion. My music opens the mind, enhances all of your focus, allowing flowers to bloom so a room could float on a lotus, transcending the body. What's been coded's been decoded. If you need to read the code, then just ascend to where I wrote it. With fingerprints of the stars, a reflection of God's knowing. On earth with amnesia, still remember the going. I'm going till every human is glowing, shining out like a beacon, so every galaxy knows. Got a mission that involves every star seed on the planet I can call out. It's time to teach what we've been shown and let them all see the connection that we hold down. Some of us are Lyrians, Grays or Palladian. Most of us are hybrid. Yep, we are alien, shining like a diamond. DNA radiant, in divine timing. We'll be all alien. All right, so I'll just leave y'all with that little snippet. But that's the next single that I'm getting ready to drop. So you got the exclusive before anybody.
Thank you.
You're muted, Dr. G.
See, what is that one called?
That one is, so far I called it Breakthrough, but I don't know what the title is yet,
Okay,
so.
and you did just drop one today, or which was what
I dropped the song today on all streaming services that you could go check out. It's called Decoded, featuring Melly Mel.
That's cool. Yeah.
Right. What can I say? I mean, I'm thank you to those who have enjoyed the show. Thank you for those comments. So share this with others. Matter of fact, the ways that you can get in touch with Rafael is, those links are in the body, if you will, of the show description. Think in terms of, you heard him say he teaches how to remote view. He teaches how to do OBE, which is how to have an effective out-of-body experience. He's a medium. He's a prophet. He's lucid, and he's a king of what he does. So,
I'm also,
things that
not to cut you off again, but I also have a service that I'm just now putting it out there. I'm realizing that a lot of people want to put their experiences out there, or they want a way to express what they've gone to, but don't really know how to do it. So I'm providing a service now that will allow you to personally get a one-on-one meeting with me. We get to talk together about your experiences, and then I turn those experiences that you had into art. I transmute it into music for you in the genre that you choose. So if you prefer R&B, if you prefer hip hop, if you prefer poetry, I take your experiences, I turn them into a piece of art that you can have for yourself. I'll record it for you. I'll give you the lyrics so you can record it for yourself, however you want to do it. But I just feel like that might be a service for people that might not want to put their experiences out there, but still want to feel how, the music would be received on a more artistic level. So just want to put it out there too.
Absolutely. You didn't put it to me, but do you have a Cash App?
I definitely have a PayPal and Cash App. I can send that all to
I mean, if you put it in that little thing I told you, I could.
Oh yeah, I'll write it in. I'm the worst with all
I'm
that.
saying do it right now because I'm gonna put it up across here.
I got you. I don't. Well, I guess I'm gonna miss out on that opportunity because I don't know it off the top of my head. That's something. Next time. But I know for next time, there's always a next time.
Next time. But I appreciate. Like I said. This is my new thing. I appreciate love you because we learning how to not say hate because it sounds like appreciate. I appreciate love you for coming on.
I appreciate you too. Yeah. I appreciate love being here.
Love you.
Listen, I feel so connected to the community. So I just want to say thank you so much. I feel so blessed for being on, and thank you for having me. I mean, this is just to let you know, we broke the record. I've never done a podcast this long, and I've never done them live. So we're breaking records tonight.
Right. Live and unscripted. No edited. No editing.
I prefer it this way. This is cool. It's more raw. It's more. I like it. I love this. I love what you're doing.
And the energy, you can feel the energy. The energy was just,
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Cynthia, it was amazing meeting you as well. We definitely got to link up. I need to learn all your skills, girl.
I intimidate a lot of people. Only these people.
Let's do it together. I want to learn.
Cynthia, you're gonna introduce him to what are we gonna do? We say we're gonna introduce him to. Oh my goodness. Rain freeze.
What? Who, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Well, Chris, I guess Chris wants to know too, but we were gonna Richard.
Oh yeah. I'll contact Richard. I know how to get a hold of him. Yeah, but
so
he just moved to Florida.
Richard Smith, and he's also an artist. He's
he does a lot of work too. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot
of
work.
I have all his books, The More, the Mason, the Alien, and I wrote the foreword for his last book. So and I'm a publisher too. Yeah. So if you ever want to write a book,
I'm actually in the middle of. I'm trying to do my experiences. Like I'm re-expressing my experiences, but at the end of every chapter, I'm putting a poem that kind of has the emotion of how I felt at that time.
And Richard is a designer for books as well. He designs books. He does everything. So see,
a lot of people always want to know the feeling that one has when they go through these experiences. So I feel like poetry would be the easiest way to kind of like express the feeling without music. So that's kind of where I'm leading my book towards. So yeah, definitely gonna link up with you. I'll give you a call. See what you think.
All right. Listen, so I'll exchange, give you all each other's numbers. And again, I thank you. And look, I was so excited. I was like, I didn't run any banners, you know, but it's okay. Y'all know who we are and you know what to do. But this was amazing. This was amazing, awesome.
Yes.
And I just see great things happening for you, Rafael. I just see, you know, I feel like the you know, I feel like some of the folks that I look at that sometimes look at some of my stuff too are going to reach out to you. You know, I'm not going to say anything, but
I'm open.
So, which is fine because some of them have bigger platforms and you need that, you know, you're not going to forget me just because some open up. So
no, we're not in that space anymore. That's that Hollywood weird space.
We're going to do this. Use this video as confirmation. Hey, listen, everybody that's coming after this, I am from the community of right here. This is where I am. This is my community. I'm here for Cynthia. I'm here for Dr. G. Let's go.
That's it.
A house of awakening minds. We will awaken all of us, all of you. I will never forget you, Dr. G. Seriously, I give you a lot of flowers because I was really on the way of just not doing this. So any of the blessings that come from here on in, I have no problems putting you at the tip of the spear of saying thank you for helping me get my inspiration back. So yeah, it's all day. I would say that until the cows come home. I have no problem doing that.
Thank you so much.
You're part of the family now, so hey.
Yep.
I can't wait to come over for Thanksgiving.
As long as you don't eat meat.
I don't even know what's on the plate. I'm just eating. I'm gonna eat.
Just
I'm good. Whatever you want. I'm down. How vibrational.
That's right. Well, Cynthia, I knew you were the perfect co-host for this because I know your experiences too. So and
it's some deep stuff that we didn't even talk about tonight. But like I said, we got plenty of opportunity. But
we got a part two. Got a part two coming. It's gonna have to happen. And I'll bring Melissa next time. We can get into like
we gotta meet her.
Dichotomy. We could get into the dichotomy because she's also had experiences when she was pregnant with my second child. She had an experience where ETs were wanding her belly and doing a whole bunch of it felt really real to her. So she has
because of you, because that was your seed. You got it from your mother. Your mother probably got it from somebody else. See, they know it's interconnected. They know who you are.
Within 2 weeks of being with her, I kind of knew that she was the one for me forever. See? Like I just kind of knew.
I tell people that all the time. They know where their heart is.
I believe that. I believe that. I remember telling her, I was like, listen, I'm going to tell you something weird right now. We were laying down together, kind of like just facing each other. I just remember telling her, I was like, listen, I'm going to tell you something weird. If you want to leave me after this, if you don't want to deal with me no more, I kind of get it. But this is what happens to me at night. Blah, 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 blah. I have experiences. I can do yada, yada, yada. And then I was ready for her to just say, this guy's crazy. I'm out. And she was like, no, I believe that. That's all possible that can happen. Been together ever since. That's it. So she is definitely the anchor that keeps this boat steady. So,
I love it. That is so sweet. Yeah. See?
All righty. Well, thank you so much. Y'all, thank you for being here. And those of you still hanging on, share.
Yeah, we will. We get it out. Share it to everybody I know.
Okay, we're out of here.
Okay, Rafael.
Bye.
Bye.
Really?
Contactee. Really? Oh shit. Yeah, that's me. 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 Contactee. Really? Oh shit.